Napoleon may well have described us as a nation of shopkeepers. But now it would appear we've become a nation of beekeepers. 30,000 people in Britain are now apiarists. The bee's benefits as a garden pollinator are well documented, but this renewed interest in the bee has come at an important moment. Bees are in decline. 3 species have become extinct and whole hives are under threat. BBC News presenter Bill Turnbull is just one of the people who've discovered the pleasures of a hobby with a sting in the tail.
I've been keeping bees for about 6 or 7 years now and never looked back. I've been stung more times than I care to remember, but you get used to it. It's an occupational hazard. The first jar of honey that you produce from your own bees is the most delicious honey you'll ever taste. Keeping bees really doesn't take an awful lot of time. I reckon about 1 hour per hive per week, except when it comes to the harvesting in the late summer. And hopefully that will keep you very busy. I think what I really love most about beekeeping is the bees, who never fail to surprise me. They've not produced the right amount of honey, or sometimes produced gallons of the stuff that I wasn't expecting.
Beekeeping is essential for gardening. If we didn't have bees, we wouldn't have pollination of our fruit and vegetable crops, and we wouldn't eat. It's very simple. The first thing you do is you go and buy a hive, some protective kit and some hive tools and a smoker, and then you get some bees, pop them in your hive, and away you go. When bees sense smoke, they immediately go and fill up their stomachs with honey. They can't bend their abdomens round to sting you quite as easily as when they're empty.
In the summertime, the bees only live for 6 weeks. Worker bees are all women, and the bees, the drones, who hang around and do nothing all summer, are the men. And their sole function in life is to hope that they will get to mate with a queen, who mates only once. And then the rest of the time they sit around eating the supplies that the worker bees bring in, until late summer. And then the girls get fed up with the boys, and they either push them out of the hive, or they kill them. The queen's a very distinctive shape and length. She's slightly thinner but longer, and she lays thousands of eggs a day, and without them, the colony would simply die out. It's always nice to see Her Majesty, because you know that they have a secure future, at least for the time being. As a queen gets older, for some reason, she gets grumpier possibly, or she tends to make the colony a bit grumpy, and that's when, sadly, you have to find that old queen and get rid of her and let them produce a new queen, and all of a sudden, hey presto, you get a mild-mannered colony again.
There's a lot of threats to beekeeping at the moment. Varroa mite came in about 20 years ago, and that's a nasty little parasite that sits on the bees and spreads disease. We're also threatened by giant hornets. There's colony collapse disorder, where hives are just empty. The honey's there, the bees are gone, and people aren't quite sure why this is happening.
It's important that we have as many beekeepers as we can. It's a very rewarding thing to do, and it's an important thing to do as well.
Us urban beekeepers reckon that town honey is better than country honey. In urban areas there are far wider variety of trees than you'd get in the countryside. Gardens provide a much wider range of nectar for the bees. In the country you've got a crop, then there's nothing. In the town you've got something there in flower almost all the time for the bees to work on. I'm hoping that Chelsea will raise awareness for gardeners that bees are really important to them.
Beekeeping brings life to the garden, and it's just a natural way of doing things. It's giving something back to the environment.
Well, there's no honey in the hives on the Fortnum and Mason's garden, but that's because there are no bees in them either. Robert